everybody. I hope everybody's out there. If you want to say yes, we're out there, you can put that on the chat, and I'll probably see it. We are in Vienna, Austria. It's a beautiful day. We've had some wonderful weather, and we have a very nice piano here. It's a Yamaha. It's a studio here down the street from my apartment. Wonderful people. So I opened with a piece that was written in 1887 by Anton Bruckner, who was actually from Linz. If you know anything about him, you already know that. So he was we would call him a late romanticist in the thrall of Wagner. So you'll hear a lot of Wagnerian figures in his writing. Also, I'm playing this piece because it's relevant to other music that comes later, about 40 years later. So it has this very, very odd intervals. This is, by the way, with orchestra, so it's all strings, the full string section, big fat orchestra. They go like this to open it up, and then it goes like this. You can't get more Wagnerian than that. That's the theme. If you want to check it out, it's his final symphony, the ninth, it's the last movement. He didn't actually finish it, so that symphony ends with that. It's a neat little tune, very inspiring to play with. So let me just check and see if anyone's sending me any nasty messages. I'm doing this on my own, so you never know what's going to happen. I lived in Vienna from 1972 to 1975. I attended music school here, and it had a huge impact on the rest of my life. And I get back as often as I can. And I still have friends from that time that are here. It's a city, as one of my closest friends says, it's a city of art. And whether it's music or the visual arts, sculpture, the vibrant vibration in the air, and it surrounds you everywhere, and the quality is very, very high. The whole world comes to Vienna to make music. So I thought I'd do something with the Bruckner, kind of that motif. So he's going. So we could do. I'll play you his little motif one more time just to get it in your ear. Yeah, Anton Bruckner. Had a friend who was a bassoonist and another who was a violist, and they couldn't stand, the violist especially couldn't stand playing Bruckner. The symphonies go on for an hour and a half, and with the viola they're kind of playing long tones for an hour and a half, and they get a sore neck afterwards. I wanted to play a song that my father used to play. We recently we were very pleased to finally have a memorial service for my mom and dad who passed away two and a half years ago. We had a service last week in Annandale, of all places, and a lot of things to say about that service, but I started the services, I think I started it by playing a tune that my dad always played, that he learned in the 40s from listening to Duke Ellington, and how he developed this style, I forgot to ask him. So this is kind of how he played it. It's Mood Indigo. That's pretty close to how my father would play it. He couldn't read a note. He played everything by ear. It was great. What else do we have on the agenda here today? Of course, we have to talk about the waltz because we're in Vienna, and we will, and how that really went as a, actually the waltz now has a numerical value, a dollar value, or a euro value in Vienna. I know at one time the word Mozart was worth about $5 billion annually to the Austrian economy because people will come here to see Mozart operas, Mozart symphonies, piano concertos, and so forth. Also, when you get here, if you haven't been here, they have these so-called Mozart orchestras, which are freelance orchestras that play basically for the tourists. So the freelance musicians are quite good here, so there's nothing wrong with that, but it's really designed, they play the hits, in other words. And a lot of people buy tickets that come here. So I thought I'd like to do a Gershwin tune just for fun, having nothing to do with Vienna. But I hadn't decided which one to actually do. I'll probably do, let's try Nice Work If You Can Get It. It's always a favorite of mine, okay? Nice Work If You Can Get It. Is everything going okay on our live stream? Let me see if we have anyone saying anything mean yet. No one is saying anything. No one's sending me any notes. Your voice is too low. That is true, and I recommend you have headphones or good speakers because this is very low tech. We have very good mics, but because of the software, it's very hard to use more than one mic system. So that was from my friend Keith, and Keith, you are absolutely right about that. So let's move on here. What else? I kind of actually put together a list of things that I'd like to do. So, you know, there is the waltz, of course. And let me, I don't know the origins of the waltz, but one thing is for sure, it plays a big role in European 19th century history. So, and not only that, but it got into the jazz world, and they have what they call a jazz waltz. So, we'll do a little bit of both. So basically, you know, you have this one. The last time I saw Lorin Maazel conduct was with the Vienna Philharmonic, but in Washington, D.C., and it was 3 months before he passed away. That was March, when they were on tour around the world to celebrate his 50th year with the orchestra, with the Vienna Phil. And of course, they ended the concert. He came out and kind of smiled at the audience, said they were going to do something. He couldn't remember what it was called. So, of course, they did the Blue Danube. So when they got to this part, I was kind of curious, you know, because they're famous. They that orchestra knows what to do. You don't tell them how to play a waltz. I was curious to see how he would conduct it. So actually what happened was he went, it goes like this, after the introduction, and then he just threw his hands wildly into the air, and the orchestra did what it does. So anyway, so it was kind of like this. It's kind of like that. Very, very crazy. So I have a waltz that I wrote a long time ago, and I play it a lot. So if you've heard me play before, you might have heard this waltz. It's had many names. Originally it was called Hard to Find, and the reason is because when I played it with an ensemble, everybody would get lost, including me. I often get lost when I'm playing it. I might get lost in it today. The important thing is, of course, is to get found somehow before the piece ends. I had another title about it. I was in a bad mood when I wrote the title for the CD. You know, you had to do it in a hurry. I was upset about something, a parking ticket, who knows. And so the title on the CD was called Just Leave My Heart Alone, which I think is kind of dark for this piece. So anyway, this is a waltz. Oh, I forgot to say something. When the jazz folks get a waltz, they change it. It's not just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like the Viennese waltz. It's more like 1, da da ba da ba da ba da ba da ba ba 3, 3, like that. So we'll do a little bit of that. So anyway, we'll call that one hard to find, although I don't think I got lost that time, but anyway. When I lived here first, it was quite a shock for me coming from the East Coast of the United States to coming to, and I had not spent time in New York or in that environment. So the big shock was being in a place that emphasized music. A corollary here is some time back I wrote a piano concerto, which a piece which I love, and it was played with a superb orchestra and some great musicians, including my old friend, the violinist Jody Gatwood, who played some violin solos in the piece. So, of course, a very elevated music critic trashed it, and but I liked it. So I ran into Dan Shore, the great journalist, wonderful man, and his family, his wife, at the Hay Adams Hotel shortly thereafter. And they were sitting in the lobby with Isaac Stern. And his wife said to me, have you met Isaac Stern? And I said, well, yes, but not in the whole hotel lobby when none of us had anything else to do. And she said, well, what have you been doing? And I said, well, I premiered this concerto, and she said, how'd it go? I said, I thought it went great. The orchestra liked it, which is a surprise. And it was completely slaughtered by a critic for the Washington Post. And Isaac Stern interjected, he interrupted me. He said, Burnett, I was just in Vienna last week. I'm walking around, I see a statue of Schiller, I see a statue of Beethoven, of Schubert, of Bruckner, of poets and playwrights and writers, Robert Maazel and other people that made their way around this city. And he said, I was looking and looking and searching, and I never saw a statue there of a music critic. So that was his way of getting back, I guess. So in any case, that was I got sidetracked. The beauty of living here was that I always lived within earshot of the major museums, and I got an incredible education in the history of art, because I lived literally right next door to the Kunsthistorisches Museum, the Art History Museum, and also not far from the Belvedere, where the Major Klimt and Egon Schiele exhibits are. So anyway, while I think of it, in 1925, let me see if we have any objections so far to what's going on. No one is writing anything, which I guess is good. Is that good? I'm going to call that good. Maybe it's not possible to make comments. Oh, I see. Someone says there are comments, but I would probably have to refresh. Maybe I will do that. In 1925, only 40 years later than Anton Bruckner writing that his Ninth Symphony, you have a piece that is, now I got to do something else here. Let's see. We got to mute that. Okay. Arnold Schoenberg, who you should really read about if you don't know about him. He was a major force in every respect in music as a composer and as a presenter. I had the good fortune of going to music school in Boston where Rudolf Kolisch was teaching, and Rudy Kolisch was from Vienna and presented with the Kolisch String Quartet, presented I think most, if not all, of Schoenberg's music for the first time in the small gatherings they had, where they presented each other's music, Schoenberg and Alban Berg and Anton Webern and maybe Ernst Krenek, I'm not sure, but there were others certainly. So Schoenberg was two things. He was a conservative, a musical conservative, and a musical traditionist. I should always say to myself, turn off your phone. I'm the only one here, and I'm the only one who forgot to turn off their phone. So he was steeped in tradition and taught the fundamentals of music, of composition, especially in something called counterpoint, the way you make two voices work with each other, which in the old days was very strict. But then on the other hand, he's viewed as a revolutionary. So he developed something called atonal music. In other words, where you never felt that you were arriving in a note like amen at the end of a hymn, that you need tonal music to have a good amen. So he developed a system where each note was independent, and he called it the 12-tone system, or the dodecaphonic system. I guess dodecaphonic means 12 tone. So you couldn't, in strict 12 tone, you couldn't repeat a note until all 12 had been played. So in 1925, he wrote this thing called Opus 25. It was a suite, and in a traditional sense, it was written like a Bach suite. The movements are named after, just like a Bach suite, a prelude, a gavotte, and so forth. So, in any case, he's trying to, some people call it liberating the tone. I won't spend too much time on this, don't worry. So he has, his melody there goes like, now I notice I did 3 sets of 4, because he thought like that. He would break up these cells so that he would use just the cell, like he might do, let's see. He might do that, move it around in different places, and he would do it upside down too, like that. And he would do all these mathematical combinations of these, what were technically sets of notes. So this annoyed a lot of people, maybe some of the people that are watching this. But ultimately, my old friend Veronica Jochum, the daughter of the conductor Eugen Jochum, German conductor, she was a pianist, concert pianist. She said, you know, we've been playing this music so much that it actually does not sound atonal anymore. It actually sounds tonal. So I thought I would goof around with this melody a little bit in honor of Arnold Schoenberg, or to remember that he may not have felt that it would honor him, but I will do it to remember Arnold Schoenberg. To me, this sounds a lot like West Side Story. Call it a coincidence. So. There you have it. Love it or hate it, Arnold Schoenberg. That's the row, it's called, 12-tone row of Opus 25, which he wrote in 1925. I believe it's considered to be the first real strictly 12-tone piece. So that people were really into that. People like Pierre Boulez and others. Serialism, they called it. Kind of like the serial killer. Yeah, the serial composition. And fortunately that ended, and just in time for the Beatles. So, let's move on. How much time do we have? Is anybody keeping track of that? Let's see. Oh, we have lots of time. So I want to do another important thing. I'm actually looking at my notes, as you can see. And this would be, again, it's a favorite hymn of our family, and I'm not going to do anything fancy with it, but I do like to play it. And it is, it's called "It Is Well With My Soul." I'd like to do three pieces. It's right by the Graben. I'm sure anybody who's been to Vienna has seen it. And it's a full-blown Baroque church with the art, the sculptures, the architecture. You can look it up online, you'll see what I'm talking about. So this first piece is Reflections on St. Pete, auf Deutsch, Reflections on Peterskirche. The second piece in this little suite is called the Riesenrad. Now the Riesenrad, which means the gigantic wheel, is famous to all through the movie The Third Man, where there's a chase scene that involves this giant Ferris wheel that goes back to, I believe, 1895, 1900. It's notable for its carriages, which look like old red train cabooses. And they have seats in them and a table. You can have dinner in one of these things. And it's huge. The Riesenrad. next tune, I would like to come back to Bruckner. This is not a piece that he wrote, but whenever I start thinking about Bruckner, I think about his harmonies, the way he would move through things. And sometimes I'm actually successful at it. Other times I get lost. But Bruckner, if you don't know his music, check him out. He wrote 9 symphonies. He wrote 2 masses, I believe. And that was about it. Massive works. And I remember there was a violist in the National Symphony who complained about Christoph Eschenbach, the conductor. He said every hour and 15-minute long piece with Eschenbach conducting was an hour and 25 minutes. And my response was I wish that he changed it to an hour and 35 minutes. I really did not want the piece to end, and frankly, I told Maestro Eschenbach that after he presented one of the symphonies, I said, okay, now my ears are set, they're in tune, let's hear it again. That's really how I feel about the music of Bruckner. We have a few more minutes. It is my little baby sister's birthday. Her name is Brenda Cabrera, and she is of course 39 today. She was born on this day in 1983. So if I go all the way to Vienna on her birthday and don't acknowledge her birthday, it would take me at least a year, if not longer, to move on from that. So here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, dear Brenda. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, yeah. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, dear Brenda. So please, everybody, wish my little sister Brenda a happy 39th birthday. So I know there was something else that I needed to play, and of course I'll be kicking myself later if I don't think about it, but maybe there is nothing else. I do want to say that all of this is possible for all of you. We have quite a crowd from all over the world watching today, by the way, and on several continents, and I'm thrilled that everybody could be here. None of this would be possible without the piano, Bach to Bebop, the nonprofit platform, which I hope you will feel deeply and profoundly, and what should I say, in any case, led to make a substantial contribution. I would start with 6 figures and maybe move up or down from there, and I'm sure you'll be rewarded by unimaginable wealth and good luck. That's my promise. Of course, I can. Yeah. Anyway. No, that would be lovely. Please consider supporting the piano, and the link is in the chat and also in the description. Secondly, and just as importantly, the next concert on the Piano Jazz DC series, also in the links, is the great jazz pianist Sullivan Fortner, who travels the world performing with Esperanza Spalding and Cecile. Anyway, another big star, and he has won a Grammy. He's a major figure in the jazz world, and that